Well, a historian has gone viral for some pretty fighting words of advice delivered to an exclusive crowd at the World Economic Forum in Davos. He accused attendees there of hypocrisy and said fixing a lot of the world's problems was pretty easy.
My first time at Davos, and I find it quite a bewildering experience, to be honest. I mean, 1,500 private jets have flown in here to hear Sir David Attenborough speak about, how we're wrecking the planet. And I hear people talk in the language of participation and justice and equality and transparency. But then, almost no one raises the real issue of tax avoidance, right? And of the rich just not paying their fair share. It feels like I'm at a firefighters conference and no one's allowed to speak about water, right? there was only one panel, actually.
Well, we've had two. You're the second of our panelists.
There was only one panel.
Let's go there.
One panel hidden away in the media center that was actually about tax avoidance. Yeah. I was one of the 15 participants. So something needs to change here. 10 years ago, the World Economic Forum asked the question, what must industry do to prevent a broad social backlash? The answer is very simple. Just stop talking about philanthropy and start talking about taxes. Taxes. We can talk for a very long time about all these stupid philanthropy schemes. We can invite Bono once more, but come on, we got to be talking about taxes. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Taxes. All the rest is bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah, Rutger Bregman there talking, and it certainly did go viral. We're joined tonight for Taking Stock by Claire Kimball, founder of The Squiz and former media advisor to Prime Minister Tony Abbott, and also Jack Delosa, founder of The Entourage and host of Entrepreneurs right here on Your Money, which takes over after we finish. Thank you both very much for being here. Some really interesting words there from Rutger. Does he have a point? What do you think, Jack?
I think he has a real point, and it's refreshing to hear somebody talk about real issues at something like the World Economic Forum. Everything he's saying is fundamentally true and been proven. One such example is Warren Buffett a few years ago now calling everybody on the Forbes 400 list and saying, I'm going to give I think it was about 90% of my wealth. I'm going to give 90% of my wealth away. I want you to give half of your wealth away. You're not going to need it. Your kids aren't going to need it. Your grandkids aren't going to need it. Your great kids, let's do something powerfully here and actually use our wealth for the betterment of the planet. And he did create a little bit of momentum with that. But I think the point is that once you get to a certain point of wealth, it really becomes quite arbitrary and almost meaningless, beyond a certain point. And that bar isn't very high, particularly by the standards that you might see of people flying around in private jets. So he does have a point. It is an issue. 70% tax, that is a high bar. But again, if it kicked into 70% at a extremely high tax bracket, then I see nothing wrong with that, and it would solve just about every issue on the planet that money can solve. Yeah,
and you pointed out a point in history where the US taxed wealthy
in the 50s
completely through the nose.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm a historian, I know that we can do that.
Right, and if you're talking to someone that's earning $60,000, $100,000 a year, you say, we're going to tax you to 70%, it's not going to be economical. But if you're talking to someone that's earning $100 million a year or $700 million a year, absolutely, that is a plausible argument.
Claire, you've been inside the government. How do these conversations tend to go?
Oh, look, rich people have been hypocrites since rich people were invented.
Sure, yeah.
So, I think you've got to take the rounded view, though, and look at what they create. And they create jobs, they create everything that keeps our country running in terms of, the money, the roads, the hospitals, everything. That all comes from private sector jobs. And most of those have come from very entrepreneurial people who are willing to take a risk, who are willing to put it all on the line and make wealth. And if they get rich out of it, good luck to them. But some idea that, we're all actually really good people at heart and would give that kind of level away after all that work for whatever reason, I just don't think it works.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and unless it's regulated, right? Which is
regulate. Of course, just give up on capitalism. Just give it up.
No, of course you can.
It's just tax evasion, isn't this?
Yeah, absolutely.
When tax evasion, you raise the tax, we'll go elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I suppose.
And I think that's what he was calling out. He was kind of calling out tax evasion as well. Like, you want to talk about, solving the world's problems, just pay your tax. There'll be heaps of money to go around.
And we know how that works, right?
Yeah.
We know that people in big businesses go offshore from Australia. That's how it works, because we have one of the most onerous tax systems in the country. There's a level there, right? I mean, I'm not saying no, don't pay any tax. Of course, it's got to be sensible, because we need a civil society that requires that sort of input. But yeah, I think not having the incentive, and the incentive is making money, it's just not going to work.
No, but you don't need to take. I totally agree with that, and my argument isn't take away the incentive of hard work, and I agree with you that somebody, you know, of course, somebody that kind of makes no money is fully deserved of that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I actually think it's quite a noble pursuit. So I'm not anti-wealthy. What I'm saying is one gets to a point where their personal net worth is so high that it's not adding any value to them or their families, and at that point, whatever that point may be, you could take 70% of their income and they wouldn't feel it, ever, nor would their family.
One of the really interesting things, I think, the bigger points to come out of Davos was this idea that the system is broken. We know that. Politically, in terms of public trust in big institutions, whether that's business or whether that's government.
Yeah.
What comes next, though, is that big question mark. And that's something, you know, I think governments need to be careful of, because it opens up a door for very dictatorial type of regimes, and we're seeing a bit more of that, particularly in strong democracies that have been in the past. It's a really big
But he was so
upheaval.
I mean, things are broken. He was so clear in calling it out. Things are broken because you get a whole big conference talking about how do we tackle climate change, and you all flew here in your private jets. So, I mean, that's
It's a really good point.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And you just love them to swing around the camera in the room so people just, you know, uncomfortable in my seat right now. But you know what was different about that as well? That guy was making historians cool again, right?
Well, yeah.
That was different. So they're suddenly cool. Like that was...
Again?
Again. Not the first time. Let me rephrase. Historians are cool.
No, exactly. Okay, there was another thing we wanted to talk about as well tonight, which is how much would it cost you to quit Facebook for a year? Around 4 out of 10 users have taken a break from Facebook at some point, but few would be willing to ban themselves for an entire year. In fact, the average user said that they'd need around 2,700 Australian dollars to quit for a year. Were you surprised to see that number, Claire?
I don't know. Oh, well, I guess you're valuing your time, aren't you?
You are,
That study is really saying that if you do give it up, you get an hour back.
Yep.
And that's a lot of time. But it's also all those other benefits, I gather, in this study, that you get some well-being, you're less informed about the news, which could be a good thing. You might be happier. I don't know.
So you get time and you get benefits, but you also need to be paid to go ahead and do that. So is that the part that was a bit weird to you?
Oh, no, I think we're pretty base at heart. I think we like making money. I think, you know, we put our eyes on the prize.
Yeah, there you go. Pay me $2,700 bucks.
I mean, if that's in the equation, yeah, sure, pay me money. I'll give it up.
It's interesting to study customer engagement, because particularly Silicon Valley tech companies have this down literally to a science. So what they will do is they will conduct and fund psychological research studies into when somebody signs up for a service. Let's use Facebook as an example. What are the key things they do early on in their customer journey? So after you've signed up, what are the key things you do quickly that give you a dopamine hit psychologically, so you feel good, so that it's then engineered to become addictive as quickly as possible. So Facebook know that if you upload, if you connect to 7 friends, you're with them for life. Pinterest know that if you pin a photo, you're 7 times more likely to come back next week. And so they have addiction down to literally a science, and so it's engineered for that. I'm surprised by the 2,700. I don't think people would take that. I think they'd require a lot more, or they'd try to, and then they'd come back, because everyone's addicted.
It's a really good point, Jack, because I think we're so tuned now. It's the whole screen thing. I think I don't know where the addiction to the screen ends and Facebook begins, because it's just such a thing of, like, we're just incapable these days of even standing in a coffee queue for 30 seconds without logging on.
I think you are, but I mean, when I had a kid and I've kind of removed from the whole world, and I felt like everyone else was having fun, and I was at home with this small baby, and I didn't know what I was doing. I actually asked my husbund to change my password.
Yeah.
I think I was off it for almost a year. I really didn't notice.
Wow, how did you feel?
Because you think, you know, I'm always clicking in, I probably would miss it, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. So I literally couldn't get into it. I got someone to lock me out. Big deal.
I can tell you, and I only sort of just became aware of this in the last month or so. I started going to the gym more very, very early in the morning. And so what I've noticed is the mornings I don't go on Instagram early in the morning, I'm in a better mood straight away and throughout the day.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing on Instagram that's just...
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, it's a whole lot of nothingness, isn't it?
They're doing it.
Jack, just
It's
scroll.
just like sloth mentality.
But with what you were saying there about the dopamine hit and the addiction, are we ready to say that addiction equals bad for us? Are we ready to say that and that Facebook is now bad for us and we all should be getting off it? Are we ready for that conversation?
I just don't know how we would actually implement that.
Sure.
Yeah,
But in a perfect world, you know?
In a perfect world, I think the interesting argument here is do the positives actually outweigh the negatives? Because there are a lot of positives with Facebook. I'm connected with people that I went to high school that I wouldn't be connected with otherwise. Sure. I'm connected with people in my family that I wouldn't be otherwise. It offers a lot of conveniences. You know, I'm going to Noosa in a couple of weeks. What are the best restaurants to go to in Noosa? You get 15 recommendations from people who actually know you. You know, so it's such a surface level example, but
I will actually see you there.
life-changing stuff.
I'm laughing because he's going to Noosa in a few weeks.
I'll see you there.
You didn't need Facebook to say that, did you?
I'll tell you what restaurants to go to.
True, thank you.
Anyway,
Good point.
one more thing. I don't want to squeeze time for this because this is one of our favourites today, actually. There's a budget-conscious shopper who has delighted in discovering the key to a free Coles roast chook. Yep, the barbecue chook, you can get it free. If they are out of stock when you get there, they must give you a free one. So that is the rule. This guy's found it out. It's gone all over the internet to say you can actually get a barbecue chook for free. It got us thinking about our inner tight ass. We've always got those things that we scrimp on, and they're usually different because you can never look at someone else. This is the thing with money. You can't look at someone else and say, well, I shouldn't spend money on that, because there's always stuff that you spend money on that other people don't, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Reveal your inner tight ass, please. Ladies and gentlemen.
Can I? Because I actually don't have one. But what I would like to say,
I think of one. Something you always buy the cheapest of, or just like I never spend money on that.
I'm more of a splurge. I need to bring out my inner tight ass. I need more of that.
If
What
you
I
want
will
to seize your
say,
time, I could go on and on. Like, honestly.
Hold that thought.
what I will say is, because this article was saying, you know, hang out at Coles and wait till they run out of chickens, then go in. And what I would say is this: doing that, you're going to save yourself $7, $8, however much a chicken costs. Take that same amount of time and read a book. You know, learn something that will be valuable to your employer.
When you're a tight ass, it's about the chase.
Yeah, but you got to think of opportunity costs.
No, it's about
you're saying they enjoy
opportunity.
it,
It's
right?
about-
Okay.
It doesn't matter
I
that
missed
it's
that part.
I reckon, Claire, go.
Coming out of a good salary into a startup, which I had to fund on my own for, you know, almost a couple of years, I could write the book on how to go from money that you can spend, have a good disposable income to
I need a free barbecue chook for dinner.
Unsubscribe from everything that goes onto your credit card, gym, like everything, all of those subscriptions, apps, blah, blah, blah. Wine, under $10.
Really?
That's the thrill of the chase.
wine.
Under $10 wine. It's a bit paint stripper at times, but you can find some good ones. But the big one that I found, my sort of JOMO thing on a Friday night was a good bottle of wine, the iPad in front of the TV, going through online shopping and just maybe $500 here, $300 there, $700 here. To get off that and that whole addiction, I don't know whether it was a screen thing or not, go through the sites, put it into the shopping basket of the stuff that you want, and then shut that down.
Yes.
Right.
So you
Maybe
still
check
get
in
You
the
still
next
get the
day or
buzz.
something.
Yeah.
Just don't press purchase confirm.
Correct. But
Yeah.
let me tell you one thing. So the Woolies equivalent to that, and everyone can do it, fresh or free. That's what Woolies has.
Really?
So if you buy anything that's in the fresh, whether that's meat or fruit and veg or whatever, and you get home and it's not great, or 2 days later or whatever sort of period of time,
There you go.
you just go back to the manager
is
and say that
interesting.
didn't work, and they'll give you a free one.
Fresh or free at Woolies, Brooke?
I reveal my inner tight ass when I go to... I usually do my grocery shopping online.
Yep.
So when I go into the supermarket, I forget my bag every time, my bags, but I will not pay 15 cents. So I'm one of those people going out like under the neck. I will do 3 trips to the car. I am not paying.
It's a principal thing.
Is that a principal
Yes.
thing?
It's a
Right.
Tight-ass principal thing. I like it.
This poor guy at the counter just said to me, do you want to just take the basket to the car? I'm like, yes, I will, thank you.
Well, Woolies
And
said
then I'll be returning it in just a second.
it's people like
I
you
don't
who
wanna
hit
pay.
their sales. that sort of behaviour actually impacted their sales
Totally,
result.
because I do think, okay, I'm
You only
kind of
take
at
as
the
much as you
carrying
can-
point. I'm not going to buy that bag. I should have brought it. But it's because I shop online that I don't remember it. So I'm a year later, or whatever it is, less than a year later, I'm still used to bring a bag. 15
Fair
cents. I will
enough.
save it every time.
Yeah. That's up. Yeah, okay, well, look, we were having this conversation in the office and I sent a message to my fiancée saying, what am I a tight ass about, quick? And she just sent...
You said, I don't do that about anything.
True, and I got a big laugh out of her response. We've been planning this wedding and my big thing was that I wanted to use Uber as our wedding cars.
Nice.
Which was
Call an Uber
which
on the day.
I kind
Uber
of still...
X or Uber Black?
Well, this is it, Uber Black, which is nice. It's nice. I'm not talking about a Hyundai Getz rocking up. I'm talking about the nice stuff. That's the look that I got from her. I'm getting flashbacks.
Living on the edge,
I still kind of...
What if one's not available?
I know. This is what she said. They're all very good points. I still kind of think I'm in the right, but I've learned to just shut up. I'm out. I'm done now.
For what it's worth, said, just call an Uber.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jack. That means a lot, you know. I know. I've learned my...
Wedding day.
I'm off it now. It's not going to happen.
Well, you're not doing it.
Yeah, fair enough.
One day
You're quite a catch, aren't you?
I'm not always like that. That's my tight ass thing, right? Fair enough. Okay. Thank you very much, Jack and Claire. Appreciate it as always.